Kylie.
I'm Corey.
And we are Lit Libations. Hi, guys.
Sup? How is Cersei?
Okay, I didn't realize when I was first editing everything that I forgot that it was the unrecorded track is 2 hours and 41 minutes
for the
first part. How did we talk about that? No, you know what?
There's a lot going on.
There was a lot going on. You're right. that honestly smacked me. I was so shocked. I was so gobsmacked.
Yeah. I don't remember a single thing except for the Minotaur.
Actually, it was interesting because when we're recording, I can't remember things, but then when I'm watching it back while we're, I do remember more of the lore and all of that stuff. I remembered that there's different accounts of how Zeus had beat Kronos, his father, the Titans and the Olympians. Mm-hmm. That there were some accounts that had said that Zeus was in fact eaten and had broke through Kronos from the inside out. Oh. And then some obviously said that he was Kronos was tricked obviously by his wife and what happened is he came back. But there are a ton of different accounts of that. And in the last one too, I had said that it was, I knew for a fact that Poseidon and I said Zeus had been eaten, but I meant Hades. Oh
no. Is this a correction?
Yeah.
Don't come at us.
Don't come at us. Just kidding. I know what I want to say, but it just sometimes it doesn't
come out that way.
Yeah. But it's so frustrating watching it back because I'm like, God damn it, I know that.
That's funny. I would have never, ever caught that. Never.
Well, it was me whatever. Telling this. I was like, oh yeah. I was like, wait, that's not what I remember.
Incorrect.
I think I called Helios, Helion at least 3 times.
Really?
Yeah. I didn't even correct that because I don't even correct that because I like to think of Helios as Helion.
From that guitar.
Yeah. Spell cleaver. Only because it makes me like Helios a little bit better. Because who wouldn't like those thighs? Come on.
Did it really make you like Helios
No.
better though? Okay, yeah, he's bad.
No, it didn't.
All right, we're doing The Duke and I Part 1 today. The first book in the Bridgerton series by Julia Quinn.
Which is super exciting.
Mm-hmm.
I had never read these books prior, but I was an avid watcher of the series. There's only 2 seasons out thus far, but I was an avid watcher of the series. Yeah. So I was super excited to see what all the hype was in terms of why they made these. A show.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's the show is directed or produced or whatever by Shonda Rhimes, who does Grey's Anatomy.
Who does everything. She does.
Yeah, she does a lot.
Scandal. So many things. Yeah. How to Get Away with Murder.
It's good stuff. Yeah.
Which is How to Get Away with Murder.
It's a nice dramatic show.
It's definitely more and I was saying it's very much more romance than anything. Truly.
Yeah.
It is truly just romance, actually.
Yeah, and a lot of scandals.
Yeah, that's true. It's like a 1800s version of
Uh-oh.
Oh my God. What's it called? Gossip Girl.
Oh. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Lady Whistledown is Gossip Girl.
It's Gossip Girl.
Got it. That's fun.
All right. Should we get it popping?
Well, let's talk about what we're drinking.
Yeah, I always forget this. Every single time.
They go to a lot of balls when they're in season, which I'm not sure.
Yeah. It's I think that's during the summer because it is a certain set of months, and then when they're off season, they typically leave London and they'll go to their second estate.
Oh, the country.
Yeah, exactly.
I have heard that a couple times.
Yeah.
So, anyways, we're drinking. It's just a hard lemonade.
Yeah, they typically have this when they're promenading.
Keep talking about that.
Dude, promenading is a huge part of the courtship.
It's just a walk, right? It's just a walk around the block.
But it's from what the show is, because they don't talk a ton about promenading in the first part of the actual book. Mm-hmm. It's like a public
display.
Walk. Yeah,
you're like, hey, I'm courting this bitch, and she likes it.
Yeah, everyone in the town plans to be at the park at fucking 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. and then everyone just goes around and walks.
I love
around.
I want to do that.
Or picnics or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it sounds fun.
Yeah, I think so. I think it'd be kind of cool. I'd kind of love to have like a community like that where you just like go and do shit as a whole last like town
around. Yeah, right. It's never.
Yeah.
There's a lot of shows that depict that, but it's never a thing in any town.
At least not now in this day and age.
Yeah.
But anyways, okay.
Well, let's get into it.
Let's get it popping. So we're gonna.
Your Grace.
Sorry, I am. Yeah. I'm a lord. I'm a lady.
Oh.
I'm not a lord. I'm a lady.
Lady.
Yeah, because I'm married, but.
So what would you be?
I don't know. I mean, my husband doesn't have any status, so I guess I wouldn't really be anything.
Just a lady then.
Yeah, I'd just be like a lady.
Yeah.
Or like a wench or something. Okay, so this is not funny, but this is not a fun first chapter.
I don't remember it.
Or the prologue, sorry. This is not funny. I'm sorry. I get awkward and I start laughing.
Okay.
So prologue. In the late 1700s, after 15 years of numerous miscarriages and stillbirths, the Duchess of Hastings finally gave birth to a healthy son, Simon Bassett at Cliveden. It's Cliveden. Sorry,
Riverdale.
Cliveden. I don't know what happened to my head. The family estate is what that is. This had been a long time coming, by the way. In this time period, women, especially at this status, their one really big duty is to provide an heir, especially when you're married to someone of the status of a duke or lord, even, or viscount or whatever.
Do you know the
not
rank?
Even a little bit.
The hierarchy?
I know a duke ranks higher than a viscount. I know a prince ranks higher than a duke and a viscount.
Okay, let me look it up real quick.
Okay.
Because I wasn't sure either. So duke versus earl, let's say. Oh, there's earls.
Oh, yeah, that's true. There is earls.
Barons are the lowest rank of nobility. Earls were next. Then dukes were the highest rank, held the largest holdings known as duchies. Okay. And then king and queen.
Where's viscount?
I don't know what that is. Okay, hold on.
I don't really know what that is
versus
either.
viscount versus count.
Like Count Dracula?
A duke. Okay.
Was he a viscount, do you think?
English noble. Okay. Earl is equivalent to a count.
An earl. So that's higher than a baron. So
yeah.
So an earl / viscount is just under a duke.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay, there we go. Yeah.
Interesting.
Still, like, regardless, even though baron is like obviously the lowest of the status of the hierarchy, that's still, if you're titled, that's a huge deal.
Still have a title. Yeah.
Yeah. So like I'd said, the wife of, or the Duchess of Hastings has had trouble, unfortunately, probably due to many like health complications. And at this point had a lot of health complications during her last several pregnancies. It's assumed because of her age, because she had kind of reached a point where it would be, what is that called? When you get pregnant at an older
high
age.
risk.
High risk, but there's like a reason for it.
I don't remember.
I don't either. Okay. After Simon Bassett was born, the Duchess died due to complications from the birth.
Yeah, like immediately, pretty much, like bled out on the bed.
Yeah, but her husband, the Duke of Hastings, was so ecstatic that he had gotten an heir, got a boy. That he basically like rode off into the sunset just to go
announce it
and drink and party.
Yeah, and he didn't even like look back, didn't even care that she was just bleeding out on the bed.
He did leave Simon there reluctantly. He wanted to like go and show off the baby boy.
He's like, it's a newborn.
But it was like raining, so he didn't want him to get sick.
He's a bad guy.
It was really bad. For the first 2 years of Simon's life, the Duke leaves him in the care of Nurse Hopkins, who is his caretaker, essentially. And he stays in London for the most part while they're at Cliveden. Got it right. While they're at Cliveden.
Nice.
Which is fairly far away, by the way. It's like miles and miles. Which is because it's horseback. So it takes
I have no idea distances in this world.
Right.
In London.
When the Duke visits Simon on his second birthday, he does decide to stay at that point. He is troubled to learn that Simon hasn't started speaking yet. And for whatever reason, he's like, oh yeah, second birthday. He can learn the ways of being a duke. So he sticks around for whatever reason. He's like, I didn't want to change the diapers, but now, he's 2. Which I'm just like, first of all, you're a shit dad.
Yeah.
Sorry. Nurse Hopkins assures the Duke that nothing is wrong with Simon, but 2 years later, Simon still hasn't spoken.
Right. So he's 4.
At 4 years old.
Right.
The Duke is furious at this point, and just as he's about to hit Simon, Simon finally speaks, and he goes, I can't even
emulate the stutter.
No, because it actually makes me kind of sad.
It is.
Really
he has
sad.
a stutter, and he's like, what does he say? Don't hurt me or don't hit
he's
me.
Like, yeah.
Or he tries to.
Yeah, he tries to say don't hit me. And the Duke is furious, and also very disheartened. He's basically like, my son's an idiot. Right in front of him too, which was so sad. And he won't be able, and he's like, I don't want someone like him taking over the title of Duke. They had been, his family, the line of dukedom has been in his family for the last 9 generations, which is interesting. As Simon grows up, Nurse Hopkins helps him overcome his stutter. She's like, if this is the last thing I do, I'm helping him.
Yeah, because fuck that guy.
To speak better. Yeah, really, that was, yeah.
It's horrible.
When Simon's 11, he suggests going to visit his father. He says, it's time. I want to go see Dad. But when they arrive at the Duke's house, Simon becomes nervous and he does end up stuttering a little bit. And it is important to note too that when they get there, the what do you call that? The butler thought that Simon was dead. Because the Duke had not spoken of his son for the last 7 years. Yeah,
and he's like, oh, I just assumed that you were dead.
Yeah.
That's horrible.
Which was really, everyone in the house did too.
Yeah.
Which was really, really sad. The Duke dismisses Simon and tells Nurse Hopkins to keep his son away from him. He almost threatens to fire her at one point too for because she's standing up to him. And he's like, actually, you can keep your job if you keep him as far away from me as humanly possible. Simon vows to himself right then and there that if he can't be the son that his dad wants him to be, that he'll grow up to be the exact opposite of his father.
How old is he? 11?
He's 11. And that did this chapter. I like it's portrayed on the show, and it's really sad on the show as well. But reading it in such great detail was way more difficult in the books.
It was horrible because his poor wife. They said that they were married, right? But they weren't a love match, and she knew it was her duty to produce an heir. So that's all she did.
Right.
And so in the show, was it in the show? They're like, what is it? The sex? And he's like standing over their shoulder. He's like, what is it? And she's like, what is it? Like, tell him. Yeah. Like, please, God, be a boy.
Yeah. Oh well, my God, they told her on the last baby that she had, and it was unfortunate. I think they said that she had miscarried at 5 months, which was really, really sad.
Oof.
Ian, all of the doctors that were there had told her that if she should not try to have another baby, that it would be very important to her health and very important to her survival that she didn't have another baby, because she was hemorrhaging even just with a 5-month miscarriage, which is, I'm assuming, uncommon if they were so worried about her, obviously reproducing again. Mm-hmm. But she decided to take it upon herself to try again.
Fulfill her duties.
Within like 6 months.
As a duchess.
Yeah. Ugh. Which is really, really...
I don't like it.
No, I don't either. Times back then were very cutthroat. Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially for women. Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. Okay. Chapter 1. We are here. The play. Sorry. Okay, maybe. Okay, I also have a stutter.
Oh no.
I was trying to make that so theatrical.
It's like Lady Whistle Down.
Yeah, a little bit. Okay. The scene is set at Bridgerton House in 1813 with an excerpt. Most of the chapters start, by the way, with an excerpt from Lady Whistledown's Society Papers. It's a gossip sheet written by an anonymous author describing the Bridgertons family's 8 children. There's also more to it, by the way, but we're reading excerpts specifically about the Bridgertons.
And like what's related to them. Sometimes the Featheringtons.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot. From what I know, from what I've seen and what they kind of described, there's a lot in the articles, like about everybody.
Yeah.
But they focus more so on who the main people are in terms of like reading specifically from those excerpts.
That makes sense.
And the children, by the way, there's 8 children: Anthony, Benedict, Colin, Daphne, Eloise, Francesca, Gregory, and Hyacinth. And
they're named in alphabetical order, and I appreciate that.
Well, Lady Whistledown does not.
I do.
Lady Violet Bridgerton, the children's mother, is worried that Lady Whistledown's commentary will harm Daphne's chances of finding a suitable husband, but Daphne assures her that that isn't the case. So Daphne is 20 and she's been looking for a husband for 2 years. So she's 20? Yeah, because they typically are introduced into society at around 18.
Right.
So this is interesting. So she's had 2 seasons so far. This will be her 3rd, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah.
And I think it is important. I don't know if it's super important but I think it's important just for comparison's sake in terms of when we talk about the show later. They say that all of the children are like look almost identical to one another.
Yeah. They have like brown eyes, thick chestnut hair.
Yeah. And Lady Whistledown kind of describes them as, I don't want to say plain looking, but they're not excessively stunning to the eye, but they're not like bad looking.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
it's hard to imagine.
But they're not, I guess, drop dead gorgeous.
Yeah.
The men, I think, the assumption is that they are.
Yeah.
Like they are, you know.
That was my understanding too.
They're like above 6 feet.
Yeah.
And that's all we need. No, I'm joking.
God.
No, I'm joking. But like Colin is probably the most attractive one. He's got like, is it green eyes or blue eyes? He's got something other eyes. And they're just all like, the men are really attractive, but the women, I guess, are more so subtle in their beauty. That's how I'm going to say it.
Okay. And then Daphne is the oldest. So this is
the oldest of the females.
The oldest of the females, right? And this is her first season. So this is the first time they're doing.
No, this is her 3rd season.
Right.
Yeah. First child on the scene.
Right.
Yes. Okay.
And then Eloise is 17 in this first book, right?
Yep. I think so.
I think so too.
Yeah, I think so. And then it's, who is next? Then it'll be Francesca, and then Hyacinth will be like way later because I think she's only 10.
She's like 10, yeah.
Okay. So Daphne is concerned about her marriage prospects, even though she has been proposed to like 4 times and she's turned them all down.
Oh.
I don't know if you remember that. It was very brief, but
okay.
The first couple were like, I guess, of old age. Don't laugh.
Just the way you said that.
And then they described the last one as kind of an oath that was very stupid.
Yeah, I mean, like, whatever, deny him.
Yeah. She believes that most of the men she knows see her as a friend and not as a romantic interest. She aspires to marry someone that she feels in a mutual like affection with, kind of like she sees her parents and they had a love match. And I don't think she cares if it's a love match. She just wants to make sure that there is like a mutual attraction,
right?
And that they at least are fond of one another to some extent,
so she can have a big family.
Exactly.
And be content.
Yes, exactly.
Content.
Lady Bridgerton and Daphne read a report that the new Duke of Hastings, Simon, has returned to London from Cliveden after his father's death. Lady Bridgerton recalls that Simon and Anthony were friends at Oxford and remembers that Simon was always at odds with his father. And she tells Daphne basically that he'll be unsuitable and to stay the fuck away from him.
He's a rake.
He's a rake.
I had to Google that.
Yeah, I still am not fully understanding what the meaning is.
Oh, it's just like a fuck boy.
Yeah, but then the way that they kind of describe it in the books too is like, in order to truly earn the rake title, you have to like seduce and boink ladies that are virgins.
Oh, they do?
Yeah, that's how you. I feel like that's how it's kind of implied that like that's a true rake.
Ugh.
Is when you're deflowering girls.
Gross.
Not just like when you're just like banging like
anybody.
Mm-hmm.
Right. No, yeah, I get it. But,
right. So that's why he says like I'm a half rake throughout all of it. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but what does that mean?
That he is banging people, but he's never deflowered somebody. He's never taken their maidenhood.
Oh, okay.
He's never taken a woman's maidenhood.
Okay.
He prefers prostitutes and widows.
Ooh.
That's his like avenue.
Okay.
Right. Which is an interesting 2 avenues.
Yeah,
okay.
a lot.
Daphne tells her mother that she hopes to have a loving marriage and several children one day. Meanwhile, in another part of London, Simon and Anthony discuss a ball at Lady Danbury's later this week. Anthony warns Simon about the pushy mothers who will try to entice him to marry their daughters. And he's like, literally, I would rather do anything else.
London society.
I think I might have a stutter today.
You're just emulating the characters.
Oh my God. I'm like, I've method acting apparently.
Oh my God. I didn't even know I was doing that.
I didn't even know I was doing that. I have a natural affinity to acting. So
wow.
if someone wants to put me in something.
Oh my gosh.
Totally joking.
You're so great.
Okay. My tongue working. Okay. At Lady Danbury's ball, Daphne hopes to avoid the company of Nigel Berberk. He's proposed to Daphne twice, and both times she's rejected the proposal. He is the one who she most recently rejected, and the book kind of describes him as like an oaf, like a big oaf.
Yeah, big dum-dum.
Yeah. She and her brothers, Anthony and Benedict, stand to the side and discuss their mother's plan to marry them off. Their mother had given both Daphne and Anthony a list of eligible respective partners for both of them. Their brother Colin, who has been in Amsterdam for a year, surprises them by showing up to the ball. He's like, "Oh, I'm Colin and I'm here."
Sup, siblings?
Hello, siblings. Daphne slips out of the ballroom and is accosted by Nigel Berberk, who drunkenly begs Daphne to marry him. Very embarrassing for him, honestly. Simon hears the two of them as he enters the house from the side door. He wants to basically be in and out of the ballroom unnoticed, and this is his way of doing it. Mm-hmm. And he considers coming to Daphne's aid before determining that the situation is under control. But when Berberk won't leave Daphne alone, she punches him in the jaw, knocking him out. And Simon then comes into view, and Daphne sees him for the first time. She's like, "Oh my God, he is hot."
The only reason that Daphne got Nigel's attention was because she tripped on a loud bitch, Philippa Featherington. And she's like, "Oh my God, Daphne, are you okay?"
Oh, yeah.
And then Nigel's like, "Daphne."
Daphne.
That was when Nigel cornered her and professed his love for her. Daphne is embarrassed to realize that the handsome stranger, Simon, which she doesn't know his name yet, has witnessed what just happened between her and Nigel. He was so handsome, she knew that he had to be new to London. Otherwise, she would have heard about him. So handsome that he put Michelangelo's statues to shame.
Ooh.
That's an insane thing to say.
That is an insane thing to say.
She's like, "Who are you?" He's like, "Well, I was going to be your rescuer, but you clearly don't need it." He knew he should be listening to her. She was prattling on about something as women were wont to do, but he couldn't seem to take his eyes off her. There's a lot of like that, like a little bit of like misogyny just like peppered in from the male POVs.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
it's gotta be it's the time frame.
For
though.
sure. For sure. But like I love like Eloise in the show. I love her. I love Daphne because she never like takes any shit.
In both, I feel like. In the book and
in
the
show. Yeah, too.
Yeah.
But there's all this misogyny that they just don't I don't know, like face it head on. They never like, you know, they kind of skirt around it.
Yeah, I agree.
But it is a timepiece. It is a timepiece anyways. She explains the situation to Simon and is like, "What should we do with him? Leave him? Move him? It would be terribly scandalous if anyone else walked in on this situation." Simon is like, "Oh my God, she's so calm. Like most women would be in hysterics right now. He has to fight himself not to kiss her in this moment. And she's obviously eligible for marriage. One little kiss won't hurt." He agrees to help her get rid of Nigel. He's like, "Okay, here's the deal. You go wait in the library. I'll go grab my carriage, and bada bing, bada boom. That will be that. But then Nigel starts to wake up and says, Daphne, oh my God, Daphne, wow, wow, wow. And he's like, oh, Daphne Bridgerton?
Oh, no.
Daphne Bridgerton, you're my friend's sister. God damn it. Friends' sisters are off limits. Shoot. Darn it, that sucks.
Dang flabbit.
At one point during all this, he tries to stare her down and, in his own words, be a menacing predator. But she grew up with 4 brothers and just laughs at him. Why is he trying to be a menacing predator? Because he doesn't...
I really don't know.
I don't understand. He's like, the way
he's very confusing.
It is confusing.
But he does explain during this too. Like, this is where I kind of get my rake definition. Yeah. It's because at this point he had said something like, maybe I'll earn my title of rake. Oh, by seducing her.
So he wants that reputation because he doesn't want to get married. I
don't think he wants that reputation in its entirety. I think that he is obvious. The second he saw her, he was enthralled. For sure. And I think that's it. Like, maybe I'll earn it in this sense because I want to bang her more than I've ever wanted to bang anyone.
Like, immediately.
Yeah.
Simon tells her that he's Simon Bassett, the Duke, and no, Daphne will not swoon over him. I've been warned about you by Lady Whistledown, by my mother. Really, everybody has warned me about your rakish ways. There was a moment during this interaction somewhere that Simon gets so worked up, he is afraid he's going to stutter. And he takes a deep breath and composes himself, and he's fine after that. Daphne is actually pissed and super annoyed during this bickering. They have a lot of back and forth, bickering chat, and it's kind of good. Nigel gets up and throws himself at Daphne, and she hits a wall pretty hard. And then she loses all her sympathy for Nigel because before she was like, oh, he's just a dummy. He doesn't know what he's doing. He's a nice guy. He has no menace inside of him. But now she's like, Simon says, can I hit him now? And she says, yes. Yes, please. I'm so fucking annoyed at everything that's happening right now. Simon punches Nigel with stunning force, according to Daphne, which knocks him out again. Daphne straightens Nigel's legs out so he doesn't get a cramp in his back. And when she stands up, Simon is walking away, murmuring obscenities under his breath, probably. And they finally decide to just leave him there.
So you liked that scene?
Yeah.
I only say that because I felt like it was so long.
It was really long. That's why, they were talking back and forth forever.
Forever.
He was not really even listening to her. He was just saying whatever. And she was getting pissed that he was like, what are we doing? We got to do something. Yeah. So she really was getting pissed. But in my next line is this going to be an enemies to lovers? Because what is this? Literally.
I do like the realisticness of it because it's in a true situation like that, a conversation. The conversation would probably last as long as it was. And typically in these types of books, you see it being more straight to the point, more witty, more people seem to know exactly what to say. There's no fumbling.
Right.
And I kind of like this because it wasn't like that at all. It felt more like a real authentic conversation.
Puffing and puffing.
But it also was dragging.
Yeah, it did
so drag. Far on. I was looking, this conversation.
Yeah, it did.
How many pages would this be written out? Because I was doing the audiobook. And I was this is at least 6 pages, I feel like.
Can you just count?
Right now?
Yeah, why not?
What chapter was it?
Chapter 3. So it's pretty much the entirety of chapter 3.
It's gotta be.
It was. Yeah.
Okay, here we go. Okay. So it's chapter 51 to 72. That's 20 pages of just literal dialogue. That's it. Just trying to figure out what to do with Nigel.
Scene, yeah.
That's a lot.
That was a lot.
That's actually kind of aggressive.
It is.
So we just looked. It was 21 pages.
Yeah, them just talking and figuring out what to do with Nigel.
Oh my god.
And she's just getting pissed because he's not really listening to her because he can't stop looking at her lips. Anyways.
In her bosoms.
Yeah, her bosoms. Lady Whistledown says, watch out for these moms trying to marry their daughters off. You will get physically injured in their ambition to find a single man. Which all of these prompt what happens in the chapter, right?
Yeah.
Simon enters the ballroom hoping to say hello to Lady Danbury and get the fuck out. But he is immediately ambushed by the mothers of the unmarried women, introducing their daughters to him and all of their older married sisters. For 2 hours this happens. Why? What is his relationship to Lady Danbury?
Okay, so he mentions that he went to Lady Danbury's place when he was younger for like short stints of time, like periods of time at a time.
With his
So
like
I think
caretaker?
a couple times he did it. I don't know. The only times that he mentioned his caretaker, Nurse Hopkins, is when like she was by his side to help him obviously work through his stutter.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know like if she's still alive. Like,
right. We don't really know.
Really what her status is at all.
Yeah.
Or if she had went with him to Lady Danbury's. But I do know that he had stayed time there, but they're not as close as they were in the show.
Right. And that confused me. I'm like, oh, maybe like she did have a bigger role, but I'm not really sure. It was just confusing. It wasn't clear in the book, I don't think.
Yeah, she definitely allowed him to stay a couple times. He knows her house, and
yeah, that's right.
She's always been very kind to him. So he has a lot of respect for her. So they are like somewhat close, but I would obviously not as close as it's portrayed in the show.
Got it. Okay, so he tries to say hello to her and get out, but he's accosted for 2 hours by these women. All that time, he had been looking around the room for Daphne, comparing all the girls he meets to her. Lady Featherington introduces her girls to him, Prudence, Philippa, and Penelope. I always want to say Philippa.
Well, Philippa is an interesting name. I won't lie.
And poor Penelope is too young and super embarrassed, and Simon keeps asking about her to embarrass them all. And he does think if he had to dance with any of them, he'd pick Penelope. And throughout like this first half of the book, I think she's dressed in like an orange or a yellow, Penelope, and they're like, oh, that is just not her color. They need to get her out of that color or that dress or whatever. So many times, and it's in the second book as well.
I know.
They just keep mentioning it.
It makes me
kind of funny though.
It makes me so sad too, because like they explicitly mention that she hasn't shed, and in quotes, shed her like baby fat.
Yeah, they're not nice to Penelope.
So rude.
It is. He eventually slips free of the introductions and joins his friend Anthony, who he had seen from across the room earlier, and Benedict and Colin are also there. I also called him Anthony until the show. Which, why wouldn't I?
Sometimes I still call him Anthony.
Me too. I like it better. It's easier.
Yeah, it's also the way it's spelled.
Right. What the heck? Rude.
So ridiculous.
They have some nice chat when they notice their mother and Daphne talking to someone called Earl Macclesfield. And they can all see that Daphne is miserable looking. They're in agreement that someone should go save her, but like they're afraid of their mother snagging them up in their clutches to start introducing them to the unmarried girls. Then they say, you should go, Simon. And even though he's supposed to not have met Daphne yet, Simon slips up and says something like, your sister said earlier. And they all are like, what? And he explains they had met briefly right before he entered the ballroom. Simon threatens to go home when Daphne and her mother join them. He's like, bitches, I'm about to leave. He introduces himself, and he can tell Violet is trying to decide how to feel about Simon because of his rakish reputation, but he charms her. Daphne and Simon exchange looks, which is them agreeing not to say too much about earlier because for some reason you can't be seen with a man unchaperoned. Then Lady Featherington is coming back with just Philippa and Prudence, no Penelope. She ditched Penelope because she was doing nothing for the other girls' chances with Simon, which is horrible. Then
God.
Like,
Penelope is stealing the show. Funny, put her away. Yeah, what is I have to know. I hope they go into this more. Like, what is what's the Featherington? What's the mom's name?
Portia.
Portia.
Whatever.
I think it's Portia. Mama Featherington, because I forget her name.
Okay.
Is it Portia?
I think so.
Not Patricia?
I think it's Portia.
Portia sounds like a car.
Lady Featherington's name. Lady Portia Featherington.
Oh, it is Portia.
Yeah.
Okay, so Lady Portia Featherington. I would need to know what her beef is with Penelope. With her literal daughter.
It's just because she's not like as grown or beautiful or presentable as her other daughters.
I mean, sure, but then like the Duke is asking about that daughter. Like, why would that would for me seem? I'd be like, oh, yeah, it wouldn't be what I thought, but like,
okay, yeah, Penelope, she plays the piano.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so before Lady Featherington gets there with her children, Simon recklessly asks Daphne to dance to avoid them. Once again, okay, so I love the brother-sister relationships.
Oh, I'm so glad we brought this up.
Yeah, because, oh my gosh, her brothers are so protective over Daphne. And in the books, they're like, oh, you don't want to marry Nigel? Okay, I'll take care of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, and that really, I really miss that side of the show because, like why they didn't show that in the show, because even like her relationships with Benedict and Colin weren't as prominent in the show. And I was really upset about that because we didn't see much of Benedict so far in the book.
Yeah.
But in the little snippets that we do, he is so unbelievably protective of Daph.
They all
of his
are.
whole family. And Colin is her favorite brother. They have the closest
They have a really good relationship.
And we don't see any of that. Honestly, I feel like they just like completely washed Colin's character a little bit. Like he's not as funny. He's not as like lighthearted and goofy in the show. Very disappointed about it. I feel like Benedict's personality is the way Colin should be.
Yeah.
Maybe not with like all the painting, but like in terms of like his humor and his
it's just funny and teasing, but always like
lightheartedness. Yeah.
But he's always got his siblings' backs.
Exactly.
And we haven't seen a good brother-sister relationship like in the books that we've read.
And this scene was so funny when they all looked at him when Simon had said he had met Daphne, and it was Benedict that was pressing him. Even Antony was like, "Oh, okay, that makes sense," and Benedict's like, "No, it's not, because he didn't mention it earlier."
Like what?
Because time out. Because no, it doesn't. Because 2 + 2 does not equal 4 right now.
That's so funny.
So that's where I was like, "That's funny. That's interesting."
Yeah, and then they talk about how, like, I don't know why Daphne doesn't have a lot of suitors, and they all compliment her. They're like, yeah, she's, like, so cool. I love her so much.
Yeah, but then he does mention right at that point that it could be...
Because of how intimidating they are.
How intimidating her brothers are.
Yeah, and it makes sense. It makes a lot of sense.
It does.
As Daphne and Simon are dancing the waltz together, they try and one-up each other to see who has had the worst evening so far. And they talk about how much pressure there is to find a spouse, pressure like from every direction. And they're talking very comfortably with each other. They have really good chemistry.
Yeah.
She says she doesn't have a lot of suitors because they all see her as a friend and not romantically, except poor Nigel. And before that, it was some guy in his late 60s. She's like, super impressive, huh? And then she says she couldn't risk getting...
I told you elderly.
Yeah. Yeah. You said of old age. Oh. So polite. It was so polite. She says she couldn't risk getting with that guy because she wants to have kids and he was too old like to risk it.
Although men's shooters can go till they're 180. So I don't...
What's the life... Well, I'm not disagreeing, but like, what's the life expectancy in 1813?
Oh,
let's Google it really quick.
So true, though. Actually, I didn't even think about that. I did not even think about the life expectancy in 1813. That's so funny.
1813.
Life.
Okay.
Oh. Go ahead. Sorry,
What happened?
I had a back spasm. I was laughing so hard. My muscle locked up in my back.
Cramped up.
I did.
Simon gets angry at the thought of her and that man together and disgusted. He says something like, why don't you just get married already and get it over with? And she's like, are you asking?
Yeah.
And she gags him with that. He doesn't even know what to say. And then he gets all red and he's like, and it was really funny. And then she's like, I thought not. He tells her very seriously, though, that he will never have children and never get married. This is very important. She's like, what do you mean? Like, what about an heir? You would have your dukedom go to a stupid cousin or let it die? And she doesn't think he's serious at first and teases him, but he's dead serious and they don't elaborate. And he's got daddy issues.
Yeah, to say the least.
Yeah, oh God, it's really bad. It's a lot. She tells him she can't imagine fitting anywhere outside of a large family since she came from one herself. That's what I want. Simon tells himself that in there, and is a little sick to realize that he can never have her in any way. Rakish as he is, he couldn't think of doing that to sweet Daphne because they want different things. He doesn't want to break her heart, despite the fact that he wants her more than anything right now. Then a light bulb turns on in Simon's head, and he's like, hey, I got a great idea.
This is a crazy idea.
Because he's like...
This idea is insanity.
It is. He's like, I don't want to be able to ignore... I don't think I'll be able to ignore London's society like I had planned. And I'm thinking you'd like a break from your mother dragging you around, introducing you to the hot young singles in your area. Why don't we fake an attraction, do a little fake courtship action? Everyone will see. I'll be left alone at parties, and you'll have so many suitors you'll marry in a fortnight. I don't think he says that, but that's the deal. And he's just like, yeah, I'll be spending a lot more time with Daphne this way, but it's gonna be fine.
Yeah, in the show, this charade made a way more sense because at this point it wasn't clear even to the viewer that they liked each other at all.
Not even till after they're married. I mean,
to each other for sure, but like at least to the audience, like, I did not think that they had a thing for one another for a little while, and definitely not at this point. So reading it, I'm like, he wants her so bad.
He's like, I gotta spend more time with her.
I gotta spend more time with her, even though I can never have her touch her. I'm like, that is insane.
Yeah, setting himself up for failure.
Oh my God,
really bad.
This is on him. I'll be honest.
Oh my God, yeah.
The whole future events are on him.
He says, this will be so good for you, Daphne. You know, all those men that see you as a friend, well, they're going to trip over themselves to get to you. They are going to choke when they see.
Don't you eat? That's hilarious. That's hilarious. That's hilarious.
I'm getting red.
That was the funniest thing you've ever said. That's hilarious.
Okay.
It's so funny. I love that.
Love is blind.
They're gonna choke. They're gonna need their EpiPens.
When they see that I'm interested in you. So it's a win-win.
That's so good. Oh my God, that's so good.
Daphne doesn't believe for sure that this plan will work because, like, ladies will 100% still try to get into Simon's pants despite their courtship, but she ends up agreeing. Switching POVs to Violet, her and Anthony are talking. Anthony, this whole chapter, has seen the way Simon is looking at and talking to / about Daphne and is annoyed, especially since Simon was ignoring all of his comments and quips. But Violet is like, oh my gosh, do you really think our Daphne could be a duchess? I'm so smitten.
Right.
She starts talking about how wonderful it is that Colin is back and blah, 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 blah. And Anthony's like, yeah, I should go talk to Colin. And this is funny because Violet's such a badass. She says, silly boy, children are so easy to manage. Just blather on about nothing in particular. And she could be rid of them, any of them in a trice.
I love it.
It's so funny.
I do love that.
I love Violet. MVP.
She really is, though.
She is.
For real.
I love her. Now she can watch Daphne and Simon in peace and gets misty-eyed thinking about her becoming a duchess. And then all of a sudden, Daphne's arm is around another man's, and the Duke was dancing with Penelope Featherington. She's like, what happened?
I'm obsessed with that. That really melted my heart. I'm really glad that he danced with her.
Yeah.
That made my heart happy.
But why did he do it? To embarrass people.
I feel like he did like her. I think he liked how it wasn't so obvious that she was coming over to say hi to him because her mother was forcing her when they were all over there, not because she was as opportunistic and wanting to shove herself into his face either. Do you know what I'm saying?
So I say he pitied her, but not in a way that was like a negative thing. He was just like,
no,
I'm gonna dance with you and shove their faces in it.
Yeah, I think it was kind of like your mother doesn't see your worth.
Aww.
And she should.
Yeah, dude.
But obviously, he spotted Daphne first, so that's where his heart lies.
Yeah, just that quick couple seconds in the hallway.
Right.
Minutes.
It was several minutes.
Maybe like an hour.
15 to an hour. Okay, is that me?
Yeah.
Okay. Chapter 6. The day after Lady Danbury's ball, Simon shows up at the Bridgerton house to visit Daphne as part of their charade. I actually say charade, but I think they say charade in the show.
I'm sure.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Either is acceptable.
When Simon enters the drawing room, he sees Daphne surrounded by a group of men hoping to get her attention. One of them is telling her a poem that he wrote. He's performing a poem.
I would love that.
I'm not gonna lie, it would depend on the man that did it.
Right, but isn't that very telling? Your ability to read poetry? It's very telling. That's why
it could be the best poem in the world though, but if I'm not interested in you, then I'm appreciating it, but I'm not swooning.
What if he does it really well?
Yeah.
I mean, it's not going to change anything, but it'd just be interesting. It'd be interesting.
No, for sure. I would have to be in that situation, but I'm married, so I'm not going to ever.
We should have a poetry read off.
With who?
You and I.
Okay. I don't write things very well.
We don't have to.
I don't read things very well.
That's
I
all
could
you
see
have
me
to
like
do.
trying to read my poem and stuttering the whole way through, or like catching on every half word. I'd win, bitch. Just kidding. Simon finds himself irritated with the scene until Daphne greets him, after which Lady Bridgerton quickly dismisses the rest of the men that are there, so Daphne and Simon can have the room to themselves with a chaperone, obviously.
That'd
be scandalous.
That would never happen.
Scandal. Once they are alone, Daphne tells Simon that Antony was so angry when he saw the two of them together the evening before. He had scolded her. Hot and spicy scolding. Not spicy, it was just hot. Not hot like that. It was just like temperature. No. It was like bad.
He was angry. He was very angry.
Yeah. She wonders... That's not what I meant. She wonders if they should tell Antony about their ruse. Daphne says that their plan is clearly already working, as it could be, seeing as she had 6 suitors call on her that morning, which is the most that she'd ever had before. Well, 7 including Simon, but he's like kind of not a real suitor.
Yeah. So
it's interesting. Antony then enters the drawing room and is furious to see Simon there, and he's like, catch me outside. How about that? So, Lady it wasn't as funny as this. As a choke.
It was good.
Reference.
It was good.
Lady Bridgerton joins them, and Antony insists to her and Daphne that they don't know half of what Simon's scandalous reputation, like why he has his scandalous reputation.
Right.
Like, you don't even know him. I do. Antony then brings Simon to the study and tells him that because their father is dead, his sister Daphne is his responsibility. That was so blunt. But that's
how he said
true.
It.
Yeah. He's like, my dad, my father.
Yeah, and he's also like, you don't understand all the responsibilities that I have as like head of the family or whatever.
Which is fair, because like the Duke of Hastings, Simon, like he has obviously his lands and his dukedom. Like, don't get me wrong.
Whatever that means.
Yeah, I think that's like taxation without representation. It's like tea and stuff.
Who knows? They don't get into the political aspects of it.
No, for sure.
Which is fun.
There's like pig contests and stuff. So I don't really know what else.
I don't know either.
Oh, that's part of the show. That was a show.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. Yeah, in the second half.
Oops.
I got a little ahead of myself. Okay. Antony and Simon begin to argue, and Simon begins to stutter, which only happens when he's highly emotional. Antony says he believes that Simon plans to seduce Daphne, since he knows Simon has sworn that he will never marry. Daphne enters a room, hoping to keep the peace between the two men. She and Simon agree to tell Antony the truth. By the way, they're in Antony's office. I don't know if I mentioned that. Like, they moved to Antony's office because Lady Bridgerton was like, well, you guys can fight if you want, but you won't do it in here. This is my house.
Get out of here.
Chapter 7.
Love her.
I do love her. She's kind of a bad bitch. Not even kind of. She is a bad bitch. As Simon explains his and Daphne's plans to fake a courtship, Antony protests. He's like, no, saying that they're both insane. You're both insane. No, you're both insane.
Yeah, it is crazy.
Yeah.
In this society?
In this society, you're both no. You're both insane. That's insane.
Why are you saying it like that?
I don't know. I'm being Antony.
Oh, okay.
Do you think that was good?
Method acting, yeah. I saw it. Channeled his mutton chops.
Doth protest too much. No, you're both insane.
He was insane.
He does is insane. But when Daphne points out that she has already had 6 suitors since Simon acted interested in her at the ball, Anthony's like, oh yeah, okay, you have a point. That's true.
Yeah, get married.
She hasn't had 6 suitors, so that's actually a really good point. Antony still objects to their deception, but he understands that the plan could benefit Daphne and Simon, but mostly Daphne. He doesn't really care about Simon right now. So he agrees not to interfere. However, Anthony sets 2 conditions. 1, no one else can ever know about their fake courtship. No one.
Okay.
Obviously, it would be a scandal.
Bring shame to the family name.
Forever. And 2, Simon and Daphne must never, and I mean never, be alone together. And she's like, obviously, we wouldn't be allowed to be alone together if we were like
In
regular
any case, yeah.
courting. Or in literally any case at
Regular
all.
courting.
Yeah.
Not just fake courting.
Yeah, well, yeah. Anthony swears that if he sees Simon act inappropriately towards Daphne, he will kill him.
And that's real, though.
Yeah, but like, he can only kill Simon if Simon allows him to kill him. Does that make sense? Like,
No.
if there was a true like equal fight between Anthony and Simon,
Like
Simon's
fist fight?
winning 10 out of 10 times. Really, any kind of fight.
Gunfight?
I think so. Yeah,
Jousting?
I would assume.
Okay. Yeah, true. I see what you mean.
Sword to sword. Yeah. Knife to knife. Yeah. Bows. I would think so.
Yeah, you're probably right. Simon's pretty talented.
Yeah, I'm betting on Simon. I think 10 out of 10 times.
Yeah.
Anyways. That night, Simon joins the Bridgerton family for dinner, which he was last minute invited to. Simon feels comfortable actually around the rowdy Bridgertons and agrees to join them on a day trip to the Royal Observatory in Greenwich. Chapter 8. On a yacht to the Royal Observatory in Greenwich, Daphne apologizes to Simon. She says, Simon, I'm so sorry. Because
my Grace, I'm so sorry.
Your Grace, I'm very sorry.
Not my Grace, your Grace.
Believing that he must have felt pressured by Lady Bridgerton into joining. And Simon says, your apology is unnecessary. I'm actually genuinely having a nice time.
That was good.
That's not word for word, but
yeah, they were
get it.
He was enjoying himself.
yes. Simon and Daphne notice that Anthony is glowering at them. And despite knowing that it's a ruse.
Mm-hmm.
And also Simon is like, this is a really bad idea, because this entire time he's like, I want to kiss Daphne so bad.
And Anthony's always watching.
And Anthony is always watching. And also I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it, but I want to do it.
Yeah, he doesn't want to like ruin her reputation and bring shame because he won't marry
and
her.
also kiss his best friend's girl.
Right.
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 No, not
like,
wife, sister.
What no! They have a good relationship. Don't maim it.
His best friend's sister.
Best friend sister.
Sorry. So that's like another thing too. He like doesn't want to ruin his
bro code,
friendship.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even in the 1813s.
Still there. In the 1813s.
The group disembarks at the Royal Observatory, and Simon takes note of how good Daphne is with handling her younger sister and younger brother, because let's be so honest, Gregory and Hyacinth are a lot.
They're troublemakers.
They're a lot.
Yeah.
After lunch, Simon plays with and teases Daphne's younger siblings. And at this point too, it's really, this isn't important, but Hyacinth does hit on Simon.
Oh yeah. What did she say?
She's basically like, hey, what's up? I'm Hyacinth. Asked him a couple questions. Like, she's like, I really liked your, lectures at the observatory. You're very smart.
Oh yeah.
Asked him a little bit about him and Daphne, and then she said, if you don't end up marrying Daphne, like I'd wait for you.
Yeah, like
She's
I would
like
appreciate
10.
it if you waited for me.
Oh yeah, I'd appreciate it if you waited for me.
Something like that. Like,
And he's like,
smart girl though.
but also you're 10. Get it together.
She can see his worth.
Where's your mom? Okay. Anyways, yeah, she can, but Jesus.
Yeah. That is a funny scene, I thought.
When Daphne asks if he has much experience with children in general, Simon grows quiet and simply goes,
Nope.
no. Attempting to lighten the mood, Daphne says that he will make a great father one day. And Simon does not, he's not slow to remind her that he does not want to marry or have children. He's not hesitant at all.
Like, we've talked about this.
Yeah, girl, we've said this.
This is my one thing.
We've been over this.
This is my thing.
As the group starts to reboard the yacht to go home, because apparently they have to be home at 5 o'clock.
Because
for
women,
some reason.
it was something like because of Violet. Just get ready for the evening or something.
Yeah, and it's like what they've always done. Gregory slips on the dock, and so Gregory's on, what is that? What
the
is
gangway?
Oh yeah,
Like the bridge between the dock and the boat.
Yeah, and he's dancing on it, like he's being very
annoying,
reckless.
Yeah,
and annoying. Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so Simon's trying to kind of coax him into his arms. And then Anthony's on the other side trying to get him on the other side. And then Gregory slips on the dock and falls towards the water. And he knocks Simon in and then tries to like scramble up and then knocks Anthony in.
It's
to
really
the water.
confusing how that could have happened.
Yeah, I'm really not 100% sure.
Okay, though. Okay.
Gregory's fine too.
Yeah,
but Simon
he
and
didn't fall in.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And so are Simon and Anthony, but like they're pissed.
Yeah.
They emerge from the water like really bad and they argue.
Just blaming each other for that.
Yeah. About which one should have tried to help Gregory. They're like, Simon's like, I could have got him. And Anthony's like, no, I could have got him. And then the trip home was very tense and very uncomfortable. Mm. That night, Daphne asks Anthony why Simon is so dead set against marriage. And Anthony replies he doesn't know, but he knows that Simon is serious about his decision and that he'll never get married. Mm. And this is, I believe, the scene where they decide, they have this in the show, where Daphne comes down after a night she can't sleep and decides that she's going to go get milk. And neither of them can figure out how to turn the stove on.
Oh, yeah. Like, you know what you do here?
They're like, no.
I'm not really sure.
Well, cold milk sounds good.
Cold milk does sound good.
That sounds delish.
Let's have that. There was a quote in chapter 8 that said, "Any man, you'll soon learn, has an insurmountable need to blame someone else when he is made to look a fool." And that just reminded me so much of a quote from Cersei, and I thought that was good because, like, every book has a quote about how men are kind of shitty. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Anyways.
Yeah, I agree. They have a lot of pride. Men have a lot of pride.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And it is what it is.
I don't think that pride is a like hereditary trait. Like, I don't think it's something that men have naturally. I do think it's a societal, environmental trait, which is such a shame. Such a shame.
Yeah, it is hard. Okay, so it's 2 weeks later, and Daphne is at someone named Lady Trowbridge's ball.
Lady Trowbridge.
Simon said he was not coming. He'll not be there. And she is bumming in a corner, and she clearly misses him. She's thinking to herself about these past few weeks and tells herself that she is falling in love with Simon. But this whole thing with him not wanting to be married is really becoming a problem. He talks about it all the time. She's like, we can never be together, but the way he looks at me, like, maybe he'll change his mind.
Yeah.
And I feel like every girl has been there.
And if he wanted to, he would, sweetie.
Right.
He would.
Oh, that's something like you have to learn for yourself.
That's so true. And she is truly only 20.
Yeah, she's young.
That's really young.
This is her 3rd season.
Yeah.
Colin comes over to tease Daphne because it's clear to him, at least, that she's super smitten with Simon. And then Colin tells her that he is here and he's coming your way. Okay, so Daphne tells Simon she's had a couple of people approach her that evening, including another duke, an older gentleman that had been good friends with Simon's father, actually, and he was asking about Simon earlier. Daphne's going on and on, not noticing the shift in Simon's demeanor. She's like, you've never talked about your father. He's like, yes, because I choose not to. Mm. And then she notices and tries to move on, but he only gives cold clipped responses. She gets annoyed and says, fine, I'll go get my lemonade by myself. Like, God damn it.
Right.
When she goes to leave, Simon grabs her and apologizes and explains that talking about his father just makes him angry. And when she's like, well, should we go get a breath of fresh air out on the terrace? And he agrees. Even if they go out there together, it's apparently very scandalous.
Yeah, if they're out there alone. Even if you don't even do anything, if you're caught alone with like someone of the opposite sex, it's scandalous. More so for the woman, but...
Right, and that's something else too, because isn't he like 29?
Yeah, he's probably 28 because I think he's the same age as Anthony, and Anthony's 8 years older than her. Okay. So 28, 29 roughly.
Yeah. Wait. Okay. Anyways, I also picture the terrace as like just like a 5 foot wide stone balcony.
Right.
But I don't think that's the case.
Well, and she mentions too, she's like, well, there might be other people out there.
Yeah, there was earlier.
Yeah.
But the Duke from earlier approaches them, and he tells Simon he knew of his father, of course. He was there when he died, and he had things he wanted to say to Simon, and he has letters for him. Simon just says, burn them. The Duke and Daphne are both shocked. Then the Duke speaks directly to Daphne because she's being more open to him. And he's like, there are things I could tell him now, but Simon says, I don't want to hear it. And also burn the letters. And then he storms off. The Duke then tells Daphne he doesn't have much time left. I won't burn the letters, but will you take them? Give them to him when the time is right. Daphne agrees, and definitely reluctantly. She's like, I'm not the person for this, but yeah, I'll take them. She finds...
It's rough.
That's like, okay, I guess. She finds Simon on the terrace. She doesn't quite know what to say to him, so she just goes neutral and starts talking about the stars. And he is responsive, and the coldness leaves his eyes, and he starts to smile and relax. And she wants to be the person that can calm him down forever, and if only he would let her. She's like, let's go for a little walkie in the garden. I want to kiss your lips.
She's very much like seductress person right in this moment.
Yeah. She's
like, it's kind of
feeling
insane.
It. Yeah, because I mean, she did calm him down. He was like brooding and cold, and then she relaxed him, and he was laughing.
Yeah.
And she's like, ooh, I like that.
Yeah.
He wants to, obviously, but he doesn't want to, but he does. And then they go behind a tall bush and they kiss. The only
he follows her in because he doesn't want her out there alone because it can be dangerous initially. Well, that's what he tells himself.
Like, I better go over there. Keep you safe.
Right.
The quote from Lady Whistledown is, many a woman has been ruined by a single kiss, which that sounds shitty. That would suck to live in that time.
It would really suck to live in that time. And I would be burned at the stake as a witch. And that's not even the time period.
No, it's different. You would just bring a whole nother era of witches.
I would.
Be the first one.
I would too.
They're making out. They're going pretty hard. It's a good scene. Simon is burning for her. He says it like 4 times. When his lips finally covered hers, he was not gentle. He was not cruel. But the pulse of his blood was too ragged, too urgent, and his kiss was that of a starving lover, not that of a gentle suitor. He's got it bad. He's pulling down her dress and about to go in for the kill when they're caught by none other than Anthony.
With her tit out.
Yeah, that is important and kind of funny because he's just going for it. Anthony is lost in a rage. He begins beating the shit out of Simon. Simon is defending himself but not really fighting back. He thinks he deserves this. Daphne is freaking out. She realizes that if she doesn't intervene, like, Anthony is going to kill Simon. So she tries to physically intervene, and they're not hearing her shouts anyways. And then she's like flung into a pricker bush. And then they both stop fighting with each other because Daphne comes first. They work together to get her out, and once Anthony confirms that she's all right, he hits Simon again, knocking him down. And he says, that's for defiling her. And the next one will be for betraying our friendship. Simon just says up, and he gets up and he says, do it. Get it over with. But Anthony can't hit him if he's just standing there. So he says, do it. Make me pay. And he says, you'll pay at the altar. So this is like what has to be done now. They have to get married.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Simon then says he's going to leave tomorrow. That's what's best. If I stay, you'll be forever tainted by my presence. All this time, Daphne is beside herself with what's happening, with what they're saying. Simon tells her he can't marry her. Anthony says can't or won't, and he says both. And then Anthony punches him again, Anthony. And Simon thinks he deserves every shot of pain. He's really killing himself here. He
kind of does, though, because even though it is like just a kiss to us,
right? It's like
it's a very big deal, and like in that society, like it's a huge, huge, huge deal.
Yeah, I think the price is like Daphne's reputation will be ruined. She won't be marriageable. Marryable.
And she would be like a spinster. Like, essentially like never having what she want. Like,
right. It would ruin her life.
It would ruin her entire life. And not only her life, but the life of her family. Right. As well, because that kind of reputation bleeds into...
Tarnish their name.
Into your entire family.
Yeah, and they said like Violet would have to send her away.
And the issue I have with it too is like he does deserve it too, because he's the one that kind of brought this on. Well, yeah, and with essentially, the whole deal. Yeah, with bringing up the ruse, the charade, and suggesting it, knowing how the urges he was already having when he was suggesting it. So I do blame him.
Yeah, he's an idiot.
Yeah.
He's apologizing to Daphne, and Anthony challenges him to a duel the next morning, and Simon nods in acceptance. Simon thinks getting killed in the duel will be his final revenge against his father. Daphne is like, what the fuck? Why are you okay with getting killed in a field tomorrow? Like, what is the matter with you? Like, I don't understand. Simon begins to stutter when he tells her that he doesn't want to die, but I can't marry you. Oh my God, that was so sad. He's like, I don't want to die. Daphne says, I've always known I wasn't the sort of woman men dream of, but I never thought anyone would prefer death to marriage with me. Marrying her would resolve everything. And he's like, I'm going to just go die in a field tomorrow.
Well, the thing is, though, is like he knows that he doesn't want to give her kids. So he doesn't want to ruin
Yeah. And that's a huge thing.
Her like happiness in that sense. I don't know, dude. I struggle with this because I'm
Me too.
I really dislike him right now because in a sense I can understand his pride because I'll be honest, like if I made a vow against someone I hated like that, not living through to that vow might kill me. If I was like, if I hated my dad, which I don't, I love you, Dad. And I was like, I'm not continuing on the family line, which wouldn't matter because my name changes anyway. But if it didn't, and I was like, I'm not continuing on the family line or the family business or whatever. I mean, like marrying someone would change that, and like having like it would be hard for me because I'm an Aries. I have a lot of pride. I'm a fire sign. If I say something, I'm going to stick to it.
Yeah.
So I kind of get it to that extent, but also he shouldn't have even put himself in a situation where that could have been broken.
Right, and also he was 11 when he made that vow to himself.
But he was 11 when he made that vow, but it's not like he's faltered on it since. It's not like his opinion on it has ever changed.
Right.
It's not like that was a vow he made in front of like a priest and like, you know, sacrifice his blood to. Like, it's not really, or like a vow like Feyre made to her mom. Like, it's not the same thing. You know what I'm saying? It was literally a vow specifically to himself that he could have changed his mind on at any point of time.
Yeah, and he never did because he hated his father that much.
Right.
Simon is about to tell her why he can't marry her. He wants to, so she'll understand. But all he says is if he could marry anyone, it would be her. But he can't. If he married her, it would destroy her because he can't give her what she truly wants. And he says, trust me, I never meant to hurt you. Daphne just asks Anthony to take her home so she can think, and so he does, leaving Simon behind. And that's where we're leaving off today. Right before the big duel.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it is crazy. The way the duel was mentioned, Anthony was like, we'll settle this tomorrow. And then Simon was like, okay. And then Daphne's like, they're going to duel to the death. I'm like, where'd they say that? And I was like scrolling up.
I think funny. Yeah, that is so really. What? That escalated.
I missed that.
What?
Okay. Do you want to take a second to talk about the show?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So let's start off.
Whoa.
So we've already mentioned a couple of things that's different, right?
Yes.
So let's just kind of rattle off the things that we haven't talked about that are different from the show to the books.
Okay.
Number one, obviously Queen Charlotte is not in the books thus far.
Right.
Marina Thompson is not in the books thus far.
Right.
This is a big one that I actually did have a little bit of a gripe with. But his Simon's boxing buddy, I forget his name.
That's unfortunate.
I know. Was not in the books. And I was a little bit annoyed about that, and this is why, because I think that the big thing about Simon in these books for me that like really just kind of shows his personality is just how much of a loner he is.
Yeah.
And how much like liking Daphne is isolating him from really his closest and truest friend.
Anthony? Right, okay.
And so giving him another really close and true friend defeats the purpose of that for me.
That makes sense.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And yeah, that part, that was confusing. Like all of the boxing in the show, I'm like, what is happening right now? Because
right.
Like, he likes to fight like in bars because he's a big strong man with testosterone, but
right. Right. No, 100%. Like that loneliness too, like him isolating, like him liking Daphne and showing how much it isolates him from like friends that he has really shows how much he's risking even having a ruse with Daphne.
Yeah.
And how much he truly likes her. Yeah. And I think in the show, and again, loves her, whatever, likes her, loves her, whatever. But in the show, what I didn't like, Prince Friedrich was not in the show at this point, which is Daphne's other love interest.
The book. Right.
Yeah. Oh, right. Sorry. Prince Friedrich was not in the books. He was in the show. I don't like the addition of it, specifically because it feels like if a man doesn't want me because I like someone else, then he doesn't want me.
Right. He was used to make Simon jealous, right?
Yeah.
I feel like.
And I liked that in the books Simon didn't need that.
He never had that.
He didn't need to be jealous.
Enthralled from her from the moment he looked her in the eyes.
Right. There really wasn't ever any competition for him, and it didn't matter. He liked her that much.
So you know how like show Simon is like, when I picture him right now, he's like, oh, like brooding, like he's got this face on.
Yeah.
The whole time. But he's supposed to be so relaxed and like chatty and laughing with Daphne. And they don't really show that.
I think they showed it a little bit. I don't think they showed it as much as they could have. I do feel like that's because they didn't have a chance to show, like, the whole book is based off of them, but they introduced so many other people and so many other storylines in the show that it made it so their time was so like limited. Way more limited than it would have been. So, which is also a criticism. I can understand them introducing the Featheringtons in a storyline-ish type way.
When does Miss Thompson come into the books?
I think I don't actually know. I know it's later. I don't know when.
Okay, I like her though.
See, I hate her.
Why,
dude? I hate her. She's in the show. The way that we've seen Miss Thompson, because I don't obviously know who she is in the, like, what she's like in the books, but she's just naive and a little bit entitled and kind of snobby in like an opposite way.
But how did she get to the Featheringtons?
And judgmental. Oh, in the show, the Featherington father, Lord Featherington, owed Marina Thompson's father money. So instead of having to pay the money, he offered to host Marina Thompson for her debut into society.
Oh, so she didn't ask for that.
She did not ask for that. She did not ask for that. I agree.
Her story's sad, honestly. Every time I looked up, because I wasn't really paying that much attention to the show while I was watching, but every time I looked up, she's like crying. And yeah. And had like a
but in the show, like, it was so annoying because she tried to trap Colin. And it was just like, that was really annoying. So annoying. I don't know. Like, I feel bad for her, but the reality is like, she is a lady. She wasn't obviously raised in the same fashion that most women were, because she was raised. And this is not a critique to anyone, whatever, but in that society, like, she didn't understand, I don't think, the standards and like the level, or like how women are held, like the standards that women are held to, and to what extent, to what like ferocity, like it's so important that they stick to these like standards of virtue and like protecting their body and their flowers, and you know, their flower.
You gestured when you said that.
Okay, what?
You gestured.
Yeah, I gestured to my flower.
Okay.
That
was funny.
I do feel bad for her in that sense, because obviously, like, it's tough what she went through in the show.
Yeah.
But I also just don't understand why they put her in the first show. They could have introduced the Featheringtons in a way that just introduced the dad with his gambling addiction and all of that.
Do you think she was introduced just to like have a storyline of what it's like for a woman to become pregnant, like out of wedlock? Because like
they could have done that when her character actually was supposed to be in the show.
Right, but that would who knows when that it might not have been picked up after season 1, you know. Yeah,
but also like there are so many things that every storyline is so different and they tackle a different issue. It's like, I get that they didn't have to put everything into one season. And that's what I don't like. That's what's kind of annoying. It felt forced, where they tried to force all these storylines into one season. And I feel like it should have been a little bit more scattered.
Just focused on less. You know what I mean? Like,
less is more, a little bit, especially with the story where, you know, the Duke and Daphne have a really good chemistry, and like Daphne is interesting in and of herself.
Daphne.
Yeah. And I wish I would have seen a little. We saw some of Hyacinth, to be fair, but like Gregory, and you know,
I mean, they're all in the book. They're all just like kind of mentioned by name. We don't really get a lot of them, but in the show, obviously, they're all their own characters. And I love Eloise in the show. So when you said, I wish we would have got a little bit more of Eloise, like in the book, I was like,
I do wish we would have gotten more of Eloise. And the thing is, what we got of Eloise in the book was very contradicting to the way that they had her in the show.
Yeah.
Because the little snippet was just like her being excited to okay, that's actually next week. But like her being excited for Daphne in her like position of like of being courted by the Duke and all these things. Whereas in the show, she was very opposed to anything society.
Yeah. She's funny. She's played, I looked up her age because I was like, how old is she supposed to be? 17. I'm like, how old is this actress? I think she was 30.
Yeah. Okay. Did you see the actress that plays Penelope is like 37?
No way.
Yeah. Dude, they look incredible. I want their skincare routine.
Oh
they
my
both
gosh.
look incredible.
Penelope was the one that I always thought looked too young. Like, and Daphne, like Penelope looks like she's 14. Daphne looks like she's 16. Like they just look
in
young.
The show.
Mm-hmm, I thought
that's interesting. That is interesting. Mm-hmm. I actually feel like I actually feel like they cast the Daphne really good. I will say that they're for them to be like middle of the road beautiful, like not anything exceptional. That's so crazy because the actress that played Daphne is fucking drop dead. Honestly, all of them are.
All of them. Yeah. I'm not gonna bash anybody's appearance.
No, of course not.
No,
but
I know.
Like my thing is it is hard though because in the world of being actors and actresses, like they're all very beautiful and they're all very stunning. But it is so crazy because it's like you read that someone is like a little bit more like plain, and then you see the actress that plays Daphne, you're like, okay.
Yeah, exactly.
If that's plain, then I'm fucking.
She's not getting any suitors. Okay, right.
Yeah.
Makes me feel bad about myself.
I would be fucked in this world.
No, you would not.
Beloved ass. Dude, it would be so. So I'm just like, all right, great. That's middle of the road, apparently.
Yeah, fuck that.
Yeah.
Okay, what else?
I'm gonna say this forever and ever, but I really am annoyed about how they portrayed the brothers.
Oh yeah, because
I can't stop talking about it.
Witty, they're so funny.
Colin specifically,
they have good chat. Colin specifically, yeah. He is Daphne's favorite brother, and he helps her a lot in this next chapter, in the beginning of the next part, and they don't show that in the show at all.
I don't mind that they gave Benedict like more of a personality than we see in the books, but I wish they also would have kept to what Colin's personality was because Colin was so funny.
I feel like he's the class clown.
And that was what's interesting too, because in the show, Colin had yet to travel at all. Whereas in the books, he had already traveled previously for a year in Amsterdam.
Right.
So that was interesting. It's not a huge change. It's not like
I feel like
the biggest of deals.
That just sets him up to leave whenever is convenient for the plot.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I don't mind that at all. I just thought that was interesting that he had already been kind of somewhat well traveled.
Yeah. So my impression of Anthony in the book was like he's just like this doting older brother. He has a lot of responsibilities. He's taking care of his family.
Oh yeah, Anthony is a huge one.
Yeah. And like he loves Daphne. He does like everything. He's like, you don't want to marry him? I'll take care of it. Don't you even worry. And then the show, he like has this mental breakdown right away. He's like, oh my God, I'm the head of the family. Like I got to get things going. Daphne, you have to marry this guy. Sorry.
Yeah. That was so interesting too, because like he doesn't really respect Daphne in the show, at least initially.
Right.
And like, I think he does care, but like the way that he expresses it for her is like in the wrong ways, which he doesn't really do in the books. And then the thing is in the books, like even the way that he treats Simon, in my opinion, is justified. Because he was able to clock Simon from 10 miles away. And you know, after kind of looking at it again, I'm like, he just had a kind of a sixth sense, like brotherly sixth sense. And he was really trying to save Daphne from a world of hurt.
Yeah. Because he knows who Simon is.
And not even that, but just like, because I don't feel like if Simon didn't have an attraction to Daphne, like if he had only a slight attraction to Daphne, I don't think that he would have pursued her the way that he did.
Right.
But I think he knew, like, I think he could already tell that Simon had like an intense attraction to Daphne, because I don't think that he would have done that with anyone else if he didn't.
Right.
Like not just kissing her, but even had a ruse with her.
Right. Oh.
Like chose to spend time with someone like that the same way.
He was kidding himself when he was like, this will be mutual benefit for us. Yeah, whatever, Simon.
So like it feels like Anthony's like every single decision that he made, in my opinion, so far, thus what we've read, it seems justified. Everything that he said, everything that he's done. And even he against his better judgment, and that was the other thing that Anthony did not know about the ruse in the show, which I thought was interesting.
Yeah.
But I definitely think that he was justified in the way that he was feeling. Also,
for sure,
the opera singer was not prompt at all in the books.
Yeah. What was your reasoning for it? What we were talking earlier?
My thought was that I think that they did it, and I haven't read all of Bridgerton yet. But my thought was the reason that they did it was so that when they set up the second season of the show, it would make more sense to why he wouldn't care to have a love match.
Right. Okay. Yeah. And that's probably
like it would make more sense to like the viewer of why he would, because it was more like not a scorned lover, but like a hurt lover.
Yeah. He wants to get married, but he doesn't want to be in love.
Right.
Yeah. Because he was hurt.
And that's the only way that I can really justify it, because I still don't understand.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't even really seem to have, he probably does. They just probably don't mention it, but he doesn't talk about having a ton of lovers right now.
Right. No, they don't.
So
that's why in the show, when they're off, like he was like immediately, like in one of the first few scenes, like having sex with somebody. Yeah. I'm like,
he was fucking the opera singer.
Oh no. Yeah.
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 And that to me too showed, like initially in the show that he was capable of love and that he was open to love.
Well, yeah.
Which I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I'll have to read the second one to see.
Violet, I feel like, was represented pretty well.
Violet was represented almost perfectly.
Yeah.
I think Daphne was represented perfectly.
Simon, I don't think. I just picture them. I picture Book Simon as being somebody else. Then I picture Simon.
I don't disagree. Obviously, I think that the author was writing Simon with a different like view in mind. But I will say that I like the changes that they made to Simon.
Okay.
I kind of think that it added another element that I don't think took away from the story.
I mean, I don't care like what he looks like, just the way that he acts.
Oh, just too broody.
Yeah. There's just not enough depth to him. He's just like this mysterious hot guy that, of course, she's gonna like fall in love with him or whatever,
I see what you're saying. Like you wish she was more jokey.
Yeah. Just have more chemistry with him.
Yeah. That's fair.
But it's okay.
I do feel like that. See, and I actually I a little bit disagree, because I do actually feel like the scene, they had a more jokey scenes than I would see from like a normal like show interaction, the way that they show a lot of show interactions. So maybe it wouldn't be like how like a normal relationship would be.
Yeah.
But I do feel like it was more jokey than you would see like a lot of like those types of build up in relationships.
Well, and also she's like at one scene, she was like declaring her love or something towards him. And she was just going on and talking. He was just going like this. And then she just walked away.
Yeah.
And he didn't say anything. Like, they never had a moment where they weren't going back and forth.
Okay, I agree. I will say that I don't love that they didn't know that they had feelings for each other in the book, in the show, the way that they knew that they had feelings for each other in the books.
Yeah.
It was very obvious in the books, and they did know that they had feelings for each other in the books.
But even
and
just their
was
banter was so quick and so witty.
It was.
We just didn't get that in the show.
It was. I think you saw, I saw it a little bit when they would talk about joke about when they talked about Prince Friedrich and how, he's probably going to say about how every woman.
And to be fair, I didn't.
The books and
I didn't watch the show that closely.
Because they did. But I do agree in their moments of seriousness when in the moment where they were in the books, when they were in the garden and he's on the ground and she said something along the lines, there have been men that would prefer being my friend to marrying me, but there hasn't been a man that's preferred death to marrying me. Mm-hmm. And he was like, no, that's not it. That's not it. Even though he can't say it, he's saying everything he can besides saying it. Yeah. I agree in those moments, where he's in the show, just mute.
Yeah, it doesn't say anything.
Seems really cruel.
Yeah.
Kind of.
But that's just the drama for you, I guess.
I agree. Because I think they wanted to have that moment of build up.
Yeah.
But I agree. I don't like that either.
A lot of shows I feel do that when they're pulling from a different, an original
Yeah.
You just get it wrong in that sense. Like, why don't you fucking speak? Like Harry Potter does it.
Yeah.
There's no dialogue in Harry Potter. Like, what are you doing?
Ugh. I actually don't disagree with either. I hate that they did not know that they had feelings for each other in the show. Like they just genuinely didn't know. And in the books, that's like not the case at all.
Yeah,
they totally know that they like each other.
Yeah.
They're very realistic about the situation, but they totally know that they like each other.
Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah, no, I actually agree with you there for sure.
Okay, anything else?
I don't think so.
So yeah, the siblings were, and then all the new characters. Okay.
I just don't understand the addition of so much. Maybe that dies down. Maybe that dies down as we kind of go along in the next couple of books.
Yeah, they definitely merged some plot lines, but I mean that's typical. It would have been boring with just Daphne and Simon. There's not a lot that happens, honestly.
I just feel like they could have done it in a different way. Like I think it does frustrate me when you are like, oh, I'm going to make something from a book into a series and then change things so drastically.
Yeah.
Like I get it. Everyone loves the queen so much that we have a backstory for the queen, but like, is the queen in other books? Because right now, like that's crazy to just randomly add a queen.
Is the queen the one who decides the diamond of the season in the books?
No, not in the books.
It's just like
it's Lady Whistledown.
Oh, okay.
She's
so
like
it's not
the
just
end
like
all be all.
A collective like thing. A collective, like everyone in society agrees that it's this person, and then she writes about it.
Yeah, I don't even think that it's like a beginning of the like season thing the way that they show it in the books. Like I think it's like you show over time if you're going to be the diamond of the season in the books. Like the way Daphne is like then pursued once the Duke pursues her, and it's like all the men are flocking to her. She's the diamond,
right? And that's how I think it is. So it's funny that they have to like present themselves to the queen in the show. And the queen doesn't give a shit about any of it. She just does not want to be there at all ever.
Yeah,
it's so confusing.
That is really interesting. I'm curious to know if she is in other books because like otherwise that just seems like the most randomly added character. And we have a whole spin-off for the queen on Netflix. And so it's like she's like the most random character that's gotten like randomly added, and then all of a sudden she has a spinoff. Like that's crazy.
That's so funny.
Although the spinoff, I mean, it's a great show. Like it's the Queen Charlotte's show is so good. But it's also like, what? How do we get here?
I don't know. Maybe people loved it. She was just received really well.
She was received really well. The actress is wonderful. Like I think she is funny. She adds like a nice comedic relief. But so does Lady Danbury.
I love Lady Danbury.
I don't actually mind that they made her more important.
Yeah, she's definitely she's everywhere.
She can be everything in the show. She could have been Lady Whistledown and I would have been happy. I'm joking.
Do you have a quote of the week?
Men are sheep. Where one goes, the rest will soon follow. Lady Whistledown.
Ooh, you were ready for that one.
Yeah.
Mine was the one that Daphne said, where I knew I was never a woman that men would dream of, but I never thought anyone would prefer death to marrying me.
Yeah, that sucks.
Got him.
That would kill me.
Oh my God, yeah. Oh my God. Who would you be?
Philippa. No.
That bitch. That loud bitch.
Like I think I would. I honestly, like, if I'm being so honest, like, I do kind of feel like I'd be Penelope. I've always kind of felt like a Penelope growing up.
Me too. Every time I see her storyline, I'm like, I get more emotional for her storyline than anybody else's. Does that say 100%. Something about us?
I don't know.
What does it mean?
I just feel like it's just the way that, like, I know for me, like, they do mention like her color and they have mentioned her weight several times. And like, that was a very big insecurity for me growing up.
Her color, like her paleness?
Like, no, just like her, like the things that she wears.
Her dresses. And they talk about it every couple chapters. They're like, Penelope should not be wearing that color.
Well, and the thing is like, I used to have the worst sense of dress style in the world. And I used to just wear the worst things ever. And then also I was a little bit chunky.
Same.
And so like, and I was awkward and like.
Yeah, I relate to Penelope for sure.
I couldn't write, so.
Oh, like what do you mean? Oh,
I mean, I wasn't good at like a lot of. I was good at volleyball. That was about it. But like, yeah, I just relate in that sense. Like, I was very socially awkward. It was just not the kind of person that anyone would really want to be like.
Yeah.
Be like, oh, I want to hang out with Penelope. Although my mom didn't have beef with me. That's like one thing.
Oh.
That's positive.
What the heck? She fucking hates her.
Yeah.
I picked Eloise, and I did these notes a long time ago.
Is that book Eloise or is that
it was
show Eloise?
Before I had watched the show, I picked Eloise.
Really?
Yeah, and I'm not sure why. Maybe because she just wasn't in it a lot. Probably why.
That's so funny.
It is funny, but I do love show Eloise. Like, she's so different from the rest of the ladies.
I do like her. I will say she complains a lot.
And she's very focused on Lady Whistledown, which is very annoying because in the book they just mentioned a couple times, like, yeah, she has this like gossip article. It is what it is. Like, whatever. But that's it. That's all that they mentioned. And then she like goes hard in the show trying to figure out who she is.
And she's just kind of self-centered, like in the show. Like I like that she's different from the other people, but she does kind of show some very selfish tendencies, in my opinion.
I'll have to pay more attention.
We'll see if it's different in the books.
Yeah. Who would you want to be?
Probably Daphne.
Aww.
I would. I can't imagine being anyone else in this book so far.
Okay.
I couldn't imagine wanting to be anyone else. I wouldn't want to be Violet because her husband's dead. I wouldn't want to be like any of the Featheringtons.
No, yeah. Everyone. I picked one of Simon's friends' wives. They're like out of the picture. They're married.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Not a lot of drama left for them. Okay, so favorite character in the book so far?
Violet Bridgerton.
Yeah, I fucking love Violet. I picked Daphne and Violet because of the way, like Daphne, she was like never a damsel, and I love that.
I do too.
She would expect her to be, and she's always holding her chin up high. Every time Simon like looks at her and thinks she's gonna be like hanging her head, she's like defiant and like holding her head up and stuff.
No, I agree. I have been so, I don't want to say annoyed because that sounds so bad. But like after reading both Cersei and oh my god, what was the other one we just read?
Verity?
Yeah, Verity.
Like this one?
After reading Cersei and Verity, like I was so annoyed with the kind of, and honestly even kind of parts of ACOTAR, like with the self-deprecating, like just kind of you know what I mean? Like, sure. I'm always like, destined for bad things and like woe is me. Like I get that bad things happen to all of those characters, but I just was kind of over just like the negativity. I wanted someone to kind of be a boss bitch and be like the hero of her own story.
Yeah, and you know what, she does say a couple of times, like, Ben don't see me as a romantic partner. I'm just a friend, but like that's the extent of it.
Yeah, although part of that was like, oh my god, is she a pick me? No, I'm joking. She isn't. She isn't.
No, it's because we're brothers.
But at first I was kind of like, no, but I like it. Like I like a little bit of a loud like not loud, but like not afraid to use her voice and not timid and like not someone who just is like, you know, laid back, popping a beer, like, you know, owns her femininity, but also isn't like timid about it.
Right. I love her so much. Yeah. She's a great character.
I agree.
I didn't think I would like her.
This is the character I've been waiting for.
Yeah, I love her.
Someone that I do feel like I gotta genuinely identify with.
Oh.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I love her. Least favorite character?
Obviously the Duke of Hastings that has dead.
Simon's father. Yeah, that's what I picked too.
Yeah.
Even in death.
He was
just the worst.
That was another interesting thing too, because in the show he was present for his father's death, and he told him that specifically that he was not going to have any children.
He was fucking rough with it,
and that he was, you know, not going to ever marry.
Guess what?
But in the books he was away until it was confirmed that his father was dead.
Yeah, which makes more sense.
I think that also makes more sense, and I also think it's almost like more of a fuck you. Like, I'm not even gonna see you to say bye.
Yeah,
on your
you've been
deathbed.
dying for weeks. I'm gonna stay away until that happens.
Right.
That's crazy.
Where he's practically alone. I honestly feel like that's more of a bad bitch move.
Yeah.
Even though I know it was because he was afraid.
I feel so sad for Book Simon.
I know, me too.
At this point. All right, is that it? I think that's all I got.
I believe so. That's all I got.
Yay. All right, next week.
That was good. That was quick.
Yeah, well, that's a good one. I'm happy about that.
Yeah.
Next week, we're going to be finishing up this book, of course, The Duke and I. That'll be a fun one. There's a lot that happens in the second half. Have you read it yet?
No.
Ugh.
But I feel like I kind of like at least somewhat.
It's so much different than how it goes down in the show.
Is it really different? Yeah.
Just like the events are the same, but the way that they're portrayed, I feel like is different somehow. Yeah. You'll know what I mean.
That's what I kind of said. Like the show is similar to the books. Like the vibes are the same, but it's different.
Yeah.
Like we're on the same like somewhat wavelength.
Yeah.
But also they're like not
communicating. No. Okay, that's all I got. Woohoo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Thank you guys so much for listening.
Thank you so much.
Go rate and review us if you're here and you're still listening.
If you have any comments, questions, or concerns, please let us know. Email us at litlibationspodcast@gmail.com.
Yeah, go follow us on TikTok and Instagram. And fanfic for this one. Only if it's funny.
Yeah.
I don't care about anything else.
True.
Only if it's funny.
I want to see Daphne the thorn bush, kind of.
Oh yeah, she was like her dress was so fucking flimsy.
Tattered,
Just like ripped off of her.
Yeah, what was the fabric they were using back then?
I don't know. They had to put Anthony's coat on her.
I know. And she's just so teeny weeny that she looked like she was swimming in his coat. I was like, oh, of course she was teeny weeny swimming in his coat. I want a main character that is like, it's not covering all the way because she's not. That's what I'd identify with.
The main character from Crescent City, I feel like is.
Oh yeah, I heard she's thick with 2 C's. Yeah. I love that.
Me too. I've not read it yet, but so that's a good one. Because the only ones that I ever have like a bigger main character females is like super smutty books. So I haven't really read any of those. Yeah, there's definitely representation out there. Representation. Okay, well I think that's all I got.
That's all I got.
Okay, we'll see you guys next week, part 2.
Yeah, make sure you eat your food and drink your water.
Bye.
Bye.